Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. This is a very special episode. Cyberpunk 2077, 9 years in the fucking making.
Here we are.
It's out. We have all played the video game, and we're here to give you our first impressions. I am here with, of course, Tanner, Timo, and our friend Joe, who played the game with us till the wee hours of the fucking morn last night. And we've got some thoughts. We've got experiences to share. We've got details to discuss. Who wants to go first?
Well, I think we should start by talking about what platform we're playing on it, because I think that this is going to be an important thing to discuss. I am playing it on a computer, on a PC. I've got a 2070 graphics card with a bad CPU, Intel i5 from years ago. It's bad. It's like a 7600 or something like that. But Tucker, what do you have? A PlayStation?
I'm on PS4, and the other two fuckalugs are on PS5.
But you don't have a PS4 Pro, right? It's just a PS4.
PS4 Slim. So it's a newer PS4, but it's still a just normal PS4. Yeah.
Still the same components.
Yeah.
Okay. So my thing coming into this is I was most interested to hear how the game was running on especially Tucker's older hardware, because on my computer, I fiddled with settings. I got it to 60 frames a second with no ray tracing, and it ran smoothly. And I didn't have, I had basically no visual bugs, because that's the big thing that people are talking about, right? I had a single one with the briefcase with the flathead bot got duplicated, and that was it. And that doesn't matter, right? It's just like a little something. But I've heard it's very different story on the other platforms.
There are jokes aplenty with people who are like Tucker, aligned with Tucker on the old PS4. So Tucker,
or Xbox
how has it been?
One.
Yeah.
This game is not playable on this hardware. Like, genuinely. It looks like a PS3 game. It runs worse than PS3 games. And the amount of crashes, freezes, frame drops when I have to avoid combat in areas with a lot of people in them if I want the frame rate to be reasonable. And
those
guess
are like
what?
the two selling points of the game.
That's the video game.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to play more of this game. I was playing more of it just right before we got on this call, just to sort of play a little bit farther in the story. But yeah, no, I'm going to play more of it when I get access to the PS5. But this game is not playable on this hardware. Genuinely.
That's a big shame.
Yeah.
And that's a big oversight. And I wouldn't blame the developers over at CD Projekt, but I would blame the management. That's a dumb idea to to say that we're going to make a next gen game and then develop it all the way back. I mean, maybe a point to, you shouldn't develop a game for 9 years. You should just figure out how to make it come out sooner, so that you don't have this weird divide in between the generations and cause all these problems.
Yeah.
Let's start over to Joe, who's had some certain special experiences.
Yeah, that's true. He has.
Yeah, Timo, I'm glad that you've had no visual bugs. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. Mine has been the worst, buggiest experience I've ever had with any game of all time. The first thing I want to talk about is the crashes. I've played the game for 7 hours and I've crashed 10 times. The first 5 times with crashing were during story missions. It was either before dialogue started or during one of the video calls where the top left people, they're talking, and then you're moving to a city, you go to a new part, and then it crashes. So that was really, really fun. The latter half of my crashes happened just today. I was loading into an area, and when you're loading into this diner area. After I loaded in 3 times, all 3 times that I loaded it up, I saw the diner and it crashed immediately. Then when I was playing with Tucker, just for an hour, 2 more crashes already happened. I can't predict them. They happen seemingly every 30, 45 minutes. It's terrible. It's a disaster, to put it lightly, if I'm going to be honest. I've never seen a AAA game run like this, and I've never had an issue like this with any other game before. Talking about some of the visual bugs, mine has been really, really good. The first, I want to talk about just the overall character. My female character in my game, currently when I play anything, they have no clothes. When I look into the mirror, there's nothing. That happened 2 times with like no pants, and then the other time happened with like no shirt at all.
But then
completely closed.
there was
And
also
when I loaded into the character menu where you could see your entire fit, their breasts were poking through their shirt. You could see full frontal nudity,
Just titties out.
which was it's not a bug, it's a feature.
It's a feature.
So in the first minute when I played the game, we're starting a little bit later, but me, Tucker, and Tanner, we all did the Street Kid.
yes.
And it starts in a bar. And when I was just walking around pressing X and just talking to people in the bar, one person who had their phone talked to me, looked at me, T-posed, and then came back to position.
Are we sure that they didn't program that? That they weren't trying to do an epic reference to memes?
Oh, it was totally just because your neural interface in your character is
exactly.
messing up.
Mhm.
It's in lore. Jackie entered the car through the roof. When you were doing the first shooting mission, when you're outside the car, Jackie's driving, and then you're gunning down the other people in a van. I looked and turned around at my character, and my character was completely headless. Its arms detached from his body with its gun, and it was formed and looked like a slug. There was an hour period where characters didn't open their mouths to talk. Floating phones and floating cigarettes are a constant issue. The police arms seemingly contort into their body when I go up and talk to them, essentially. NPCs phasing through stairs. There's a very emotional moment with Jackie in the game. We're not going to do any spoilers, I assume.
Yeah, first
But
impressions
one of the
go
most
away.
more emotional parts of the first act of the game, where he's handing an important weapon, he's handing an important item to you, and that item glitched out, and the model was swapped for an assault rifle.
Oh,
So
God.
there he is shoving an assault rifle into your face, which
Oh.
ruined one of the most emotional moments of the game. And then the latest one is that I had when I was summoning the car, which you do on the PS5 and PS4 just by pressing the right arrow. It bursted from underneath a car that someone was driving, and the car flew all the way to the moon. So to put it
Nice.
lightly, this is. I can go on for more, but I'd like to hear other people talk because this has been
It
the
sounds-
funniest game I've ever played.
Buggy as hell.
Yeah.
Tanner,
It's
can you
interesting, though.
confirm or deny this experience though? You're playing on a PS5 as well,
I am
right?
playing. I'm playing on PS5 as well. Mine has not been nearly as buggy as Joe's, as it sounds. But granted, I haven't played as much as I haven't played as much as everyone else in here. But mine's just been sort of a lackluster sort of so minor inconveniences throughout. I've only had one crash that seemingly I wasn't like running a lot of. It wasn't a scene that had a lot of people or anything like that. I was just driving and it crashed. I get some floating items in the world as well. What the biggest thing, and I'm not entirely sure if this is my controller itself, but it seemingly came out of nowhere where I just have stick drift for some reason. Like
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll be standing and my character will the camera will just spin in a circle slowly. Which makes it very difficult when I'm trying to hack something. So I'm holding down, trying to focus on it, and then it'll just
be like moving around.
It's fighting me. It's fighting me pretty hard.
Mm.
But other than that, no technical issues. Just some experience issues.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that I am on the worst hardware. I'm having running problems, but I am
Yeah.
not experiencing the visual bugs. I'm not like the glitches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's crashes, it's slowdown, it's frame rate issues, it's visual fidelity, but I have not had as many, not very many at all, honestly. Things like Joe had. So it's the inconsistency that I find very interesting about this.
Because I have had a near perfect. I had a couple times where this is a problem with my system. This is a known issue of mine that happens with other games. This is not Cyberpunk alone, where my graphics card clock speeds will just drop out of nowhere. It'll go from it'll have them, which is thermal throttling. I just get thermal throttled after a while, and then the game just boom drops to like no frame rates. This happens in Rocket League. This happens in Doom. This happens in all the games that I don't set up the settings right. And so it's like, okay, well, I just messed with my settings some more, and I got it to not happen anymore. And then I did have a time where I called my car, and it didn't drive out of like behind me or whatever. It spawned right in front of me. It spawned in another car, and I went over to walk into it, and it ejected the other car into a nearby building.
Interesting.
Same thing.
Which like that's buggy, but like I don't know. That doesn't break it. So it really does sound to me like you guys are having a truly terrible time.
Yeah.
Yeah. To kind of end it off for me, a little bit, I'd attribute it's like a death of a thousand cuts. That's what I would say. If these were just small issues that happen time to time, I expect a certain type of jankiness when it comes to open world games.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to code all that stuff and then load it all at the same time, especially with NPC characters. But it has ruined it's ruined my experience, if I'm gonna be honest.
I know we wanted to keep this concise as a first impressions, but if we can, brush aside all the glitches and the visual
Gameplay.
Crashes and stuff like that, and not just complain about the game, or the glitches that we've had, is what does everyone think about the base game itself? The aside from all the glitches and everything, like I said, the story, the combat, everything like that.
Joe and I had a pretty good conversation about this. Let's hear what Timo has to say, though.
Okay, I am enjoying it quite a lot. It's pretty fun. I really like the world design. It's like, I don't know. I mean, for me, because I'm not getting any bugs or anything, it's just like seamless and it's huge and it feels dense and it's like, it is very intimidating. I want to explore, but like, it's like, holy crap, how do I go and find all this stuff out? I was also playing late at night and I just kind of wanted to get to the title screen. For me, it is about story, and I think there are some really great moments in this first, before the pre-title screen. It took me about 7 hours to get to, especially with you and Jackie in the hotel room. If you know what we're talking about, there are some moments there that are just like, I feel are like, for me, were cinematic and really grabbed me and were really fun. And the pacing and the writing and the tension and like all these elements that I would attribute to movies, but were working in the game, worked very well and would grip me. And I was very interested in how it all happened. And I am enjoying it. I want to see where it goes. I want to see what happens in the rest of the story. The gameplay and the systems are pretty cool. I'm not the biggest fan of the shooting. I'm playing on hard difficulty, and it feels like it takes a little too many shots to kill an individual enemy.
I totally agree.
But I think if I turn the difficulty down, it would remove that. So I don't know. We'll see. And then, but like the hacking systems and stuff is fun. That's cool. I like it. I'm getting to explore with that. I'm kind of skilling into that tree a little bit more. So we will see once I get more time in the game.
All right. Joe, what do you guys say?
No. I was when you were talking about the difficulty, you're playing on hard. Wait, Tanner, are you playing on hard as well?
I'm playing on normal.
So am I.
Okay, because I've been playing. I was gonna say that to counteract for me, playing on normal has been ridiculously easy. Just for me. I think the one thing about the console, just from a gameplay perspective, when it comes to gunplay, at least for me, is the auto aim is the auto aim and aim assist is very generous. It kind of has a GTA effect if you've ever played that on a console, where if you just click on the left trigger, it will swap right to the enemy, and then you can shoot left trigger, right trigger, left trigger, right trigger. That has kind of been what it's like for me with the gunplay. And it's really unfortunate because I like the arenas where these battles have been had, like especially in the hotel fight, for instance. But it trivializes some of the fights sometimes when it feels like I can very easily mow them down. And that might just be, I have to turn up the difficulty.
There is a setting to mess with how much you get auto aim. So I turned mine down. I'm only on I'm on a little bit. I'm also on keyboard and mouse, so it's much easier for me to aim.
Yeah.
I'm bad at aiming though, so I kept a little bit on.
No, that's all good. That'll definitely be something I have to tone down, but just the general thing about it feels like a little bit too strong. Tucker, I know you were going to talk about more your general thoughts, but you go on ahead and I can add.
Here's the thing. Joe and I had a pretty meaty conversation about this earlier, about the gameplay systems and trying to separate that from the problems we've been having and things like that. I am 6 hours into this game. I think the gameplay systems, the shooting, the hacking, the quest getting, all of that stuff, the driving, it's all fine.
Yeah.
From my experience, it doesn't do anything special compared to its contemporaries. I mean, you got your Fallouts and you've got your Far Cries and you've got your Elder Scrolls and all of that, and it doesn't have anything thus far to one up those. And because of that, I'm just wondering what, like, if I'm having these technical issues, if the game doesn't look good and it doesn't have anything particularly compelling in the gameplay department, what would compel me to keep playing? And unfortunately, this is not helped by the fact that I personally don't feel gripped by the story because I think the pacing is fucking borked. They give you like four new characters per mission to get to know. There's no fucking consistency and feeling your relationships are really building with this character, except for Jackie, of course. He's the sort of the through line. But you're dropped into this world, and each scene is just bam, like a new scenario with new characters that have relationships with other characters you haven't met yet, and it's so overwhelming that I could not tell you what the conflict of this game is. I cannot tell you like what the themes of the game are, and in 6 hours of gameplay, that's not a good thing. I can't be hooked if it's fucking pulling me in 10 directions all at the same time. It doesn't have enough narrative focus for me to feel like I know where I'm going, at least on the main quest. Of course, you can do all the side quests you want, but they introduce a lot of side quests through the main campaign. And so it's always feel like I'm like, okay, well, is this, I know what the main quest is, but this guy wants this, and is that going to help me in this way? And it's so hard to fucking focus on the story in this game, and I just don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, listening to everyone talk about their general thoughts on it, I have to agree with a lot of the things that all of you said. I agree with Tucker a lot on the thing of this game seems very the classic saying of it's quantity over quality. Like they have all these gameplay mechanics, the hacking and the shooting and the story, but none of them feel up to par with with what we were expecting and what we were almost promised from like all the marketing for this. We were told that this is going to be some sort of like transcendent experience where the hacking would flow into the shooting and the story would be, very interesting and enthralling. And that is just not the case in the slightest.
I think that I think those are all valid criticisms. I think if you look back at other games that CD Projekt has made, they don't make 20-hour campaigns. This game is going to be stupidly long in terms of story, and that is a big turnoff for a lot of people, and just means it's like I wouldn't be surprised if Abram plays the till the title screen and then he's done.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if he loved Persona 5R as much as he did, but he only didn't even beat the first dungeon in that game. Ooh, don't know what's gonna happen with Cyberpunk.
So it's just, to me, it's like, yeah, I think the game is like a really long movie in that it likes to take its time to get to stuff. And while you have those, you brought up about the characters, I didn't really feel that so much. That I kind of understood what was going on, and there were I liked seeing all these new characters because I thought, well, I'm gonna get a lot of time to know these people later on. And while I don't really know what's gonna happen next in the story, I am personally compelled by it, and I want to see what happens. And so it's like I was hooked in the beginning, even if maybe you weren't, through the lengthiness of it.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep playing at 3 a.m., but I didn't because I was tired and I had work today.
Yeah, reasonable. I'm not a huge long game guy. I've played my fair share of long games that they're not completely foreign to me. But I think the thing that this game lacks is a narrative hook from the beginning to really pull me in. Because a lot of the games that are super long, I feel like...
Did you reach the title screen, Tucker?
I don't even know. I don't know what that means. I played 6 hours. So actually, I shouldn't say what the last thing I did was escape after getting the bot, the little fucking spidery guy.
Okay. There is a hook.
Okay. And I think Joe did tell me about that, but the fact that happens 8 hours into the game, I don't think is great pacing.
So I can try to add on why I think that might be the case. Just for me, when first talking about just the story, because I've got to the part where we're with Wholesome Keanu. Wholesome Keanu is now a part of our quest.
100 Wholesome Keanu chungus.
Yep. We get to the part where he's involved. And I'm kind of the same thing as you. Is like I really like his character. His performance is really, really good so far. I
haven't actually gotten any Wholesome Keanu. I went to bed as soon as the title screen ended, and then I was like, oh, I'm in this new section. Okay, I kind of know what's going on here.
Interesting.
It said interlude, and I was like, okay, time for bed. I'm tired.
Well, Keanu's a part of mine now. Yeah. And his dialogue's great. He really plays it up. It's not a spoiler, but like he plays an asshole amazingly. I've never wanted to punch Keanu Reeves more than I do in this video game. And his performance is a genuine spot where I want to play more of the story just to see what he does. And I
Sure.
think that's a really great thing. That's my hook for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's a little bit part after the title screen but I think why Tucker might be there's a bit of a gap, and like sometimes some people got to 6 hours to get to the title screen. Some people, Tucker might take 8 to 9 to 10 hours to get to the title screen, is because I don't think they really integrate the side quests well with the main quest storyline. I
Okay.
remember when you're walking down the stairs and you see the breath of the city, and there's Jackie eating the burrito, and then you have to go on that mission there,
Yeah.
and follow him. That part really confused me because I looked at the mini map. I pressed my touchpad. I looked at the map and I saw the amount of icons that there was, and I got very stressed.
Okay.
There was
Yeah.
so much stuff. That's what stressed me, because there's so much stuff happening at one time that I thought, oh, if I don't do this mini map marker, then I might not be able to get an important part in the story. Because I know that's how some CD Projekt. I played through The Witcher 3. There's some side missions that if you do that, that affects the main story. So I thought I had to do that. And then the side missions were locked. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I tried exploring more to see if I could find more stuff. And then I didn't realize that you kind of need to do more of the main quest for more of the side stuff to unlock, to upgrade your street cred and all those other issues. I think I think that definitely affected the pacing. At least for me.
Okay, I'm glad that you felt that way, Joe, because that's exactly what my issue is right now. Is because I thought I was into like the meat of the game right now. I thought I was into the bit where like you can choose to do side quests and story missions, but I think
Exactly. Same
apparently
here.
I'm still a way off. I'm still a ways off from that, and that like you're right. It's very confusing because they give you the freedom. They hand you the keys, and you're given all these icons on the map, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm in Cyberpunk now, but you're not, and that's why I was
Pumpkin
so like,
time.
it's pumpkin time, as Tucker likes to say. But yeah, well, thank you. I lost my train of thought because of that. You fuck you.
Sorry, but
But yeah,
honestly,
I felt because I tried to do some side quests very quickly, and it felt like everyone else was operating at a level above me. Like the difficulty with killing enemies and things like that. It might be because I'm bad at video games, but it also might be because I haven't gotten to the meat, even though the pacing of the game that they've given me so far suggests that I am in that open world environment.
yeah. I mean, I have played a solid amount of open world games in my day. I love Far Cry, I love Fallout, I love Skyrim, I like the Spider-Man games, all of that. And I think the problem that this game has in terms of its gameplay pacing in that regard is that it throws everything at you at once.
Mhm.
In those other games, it's part of the narrative story where you unlock a new kind of collectible, a new kind of objective, and it allows you to get a grasp on, okay, this is what this marker means, and that's what, if I beat one of these, that's what unlocks, stuff like that. But because they throw everything at you at once, it's hard to balance in your head what you should be going to do because you don't know what everything does. So you want to go test things, but it blocks you off from some things. So I really just wish that there had been some sort of way that they could have held back the pacing in terms of the gameplay, but then I wish they had sped up the pacing in terms of the story. It's just, I don't know. It's a very strange balance to me
Yeah.
that I don't personally find very compelling. I'm willing to give it a chance when I'm on a console that can fucking play the game.
It's-
But yeah, at the moment, not in.
It seems weird that we're asking CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 to hold back, but it sounds like that's exactly what it needed.
Yeah. Well, to wrap up, I just want to hear your thoughts on what you think the game will look like and will play like in 6 months. Just to go back to our buggy, do you think they will have enough time to fix these issues and the game will perform as you would hope in months, in a given amount of time in the future?
I can start on that
Yeah,
for a
go
little
for
bit. I think, like, I get that we spent a lot of time talking about the bugs and not too much on gameplay because there's still a ton of things to like, and there's still a ton of positives I can give this game.
Yeah, like there's a lot.
And I will go to them if we end up having the time, but I think this is a major issue because the fact that they advertised this game for current gen consoles, for the PS4 and Xbox One, for a long time. That's what it seemed like they were making them for. April 2020 was the original release, and it was that was before the next gen consoles even came out.
Yeah, imagine that.
And then
Holy
with
shit.
the delay, and then them running at Digital Foundry, it runs on the PS4 at 720p. It dips below 30 FPS constantly. I can't imagine what the original Xbox One is like. Um, it's a real shame for people that actually want to get invested in this.
Yeah,
And I think
it is a real shame.
it's a legitimate barrier block in enjoying the really cool concepts that they have going on. And overall, I just feel really bad that a lot of people are going to buy these for a current gen console,
Yeah.
and
Now
make it feel like it's a waste.
they have promised the upgrade path for free
the
to
free upgrade.
to next gen
Yeah.
consoles, but you gotta buy a next gen console.
There's
Well,
a $400 or
yeah.
That's the biggest
$500 price
Well, barrier to get over.
barrier. Yes.
So-
No one's wanted to spend $500 more than they do on these next gen consoles.
Yeah.
I think that's a very valid point, and you have to look at the game holistically. Yeah, there's good stuff, but if you can't play it on a PS4, what does it matter, really?
Yeah.
What is it?
And I think that's my takeaway from this is I totally wish I was having a great time with this game. But when I look at it and all the fucking models are like filtered through a wall of piss and like it drops to constantly to like 15 FPS, I can't take in those beautiful vistas and I can't explore
Those
the map in a
breathtaking
fluid way.
moments.
Yeah, if it doesn't look visually appealing. And I can't get into the gameplay if it chugs when I get into combat. Like there's just so many things that are holding me back from that full experience, and it's really unfortunate because I was looking forward to. I didn't know anything about this game going in. That's the thing. I am fresh from square one. I didn't watch any of the pre-release stuff, and this is my first experience with the game, which is incredibly unfortunate. And I would love to give it more credit, but I just haven't experienced those quality moments because it's so held back by the unfortunate problems I've had.
I'm in the same boat with Tucker, essentially. Yeah. I haven't had a bad visual experience with it, but it just seems rushed. It seems like they're throwing everything at the wall at once and seeing what sticks if to get you hooked. The pacing thing we talked about, and obviously the glitches and everything, and the visuals. You all bring up a good point about the visuals about on last gen consoles versus current gen. I guess technically they are current gen now.
Totally are. Yeah.
So
Weird to think about.
I think
That's
it was.
weird.
I don't want to call this a misstep, but it's nearing a misstep for me. Just in general.
It seems like they almost put themselves in an impossible box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Don't
how
release it
could
on past consoles, and then they don't get their player base.
Yeah. Or have it delayed for so long that you cause this issue where now you have to develop for new consoles, and so you've got to, shift maybe resources in your development team away from mechanics or something like that
Yeah.
to just getting it to work on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. And it's like, so I would say that maybe CD Projekt needs to look at their management style, their upper level, their bosses, and reevaluate how they, as a company and as like a management team. It's like, the developers models are great. Guns look awesome. Sounds cool. Like soundtrack baller. Like
not on the PS4.
Oh,
The character models and gun stuff. Nothing to do with the music.
well, like the
Music's fine.
design and like the
Yeah,
higher
of course,
concepts, I
of
think are
course.
all there and they're great. But the bosses didn't make those. The bosses just said you had to have it done by this time and had to, and that kind of stuff, which causes artists like these guys who work so hard on it to be constrained and to end up putting out initially a less than maybe desirable product. I say initially because like The Witcher, a year later, 6 months later, ran great. I ran it on a really old computer and it ran like nothing. It ran beautifully, and so I hope that it will get to that point. We shall see. You can't make any promises though.
Yeah, I really hope it does too, because I never had the experience of The Witcher 3 before when everything was broken on launch. I got it.
Yeah.
It was like years away, the Game of the Year edition, and it ran great. So that's why I had all the love for CD Projekt Red going in. So I mean, I don't doubt that they're going to get it done. I think it's just a different scenario since this game has been in the oven for 9 years.
Yeah.
And
A lesson in hype.
yeah, and I'll let other people talk.
there's the title.
Another
Holy shit,
point
yeah.
is that the fact I played Red Dead Redemption 2 on the original Xbox One, and even though it was downscaled to about 900p, it barely dips below 30 FPS. I mean, I've played The Last of Us 2 on a base PS4, and that runs amazingly well.
Ghost of
there's
Tsushima,
so many
God of War.
there's so many graphically demanding games that run on this, and while I still like the art style of it, I really love the way Night City looks. I love just looking at the lights in the distance, and it feels so big.
Yeah.
So much to explore, but there's nothing. It doesn't really seem as next gen as when I saw Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time, or when I saw the rope physics of The Last of Us 2, or the character models in those. I mean, that's the main thing for me. I think the marketing team did a fantastic job, and there's so many positives to talk about, but it's hard when there's this many barriers to entry.
Yeah. The final point that I kind of want to finish on is that just I think the hype for this game was obviously through the roof, but I think it was not helped by the fact that CD Projekt Red did not give out review copies for consoles. They only gave it out to people with quality PCs that can run the game beautifully with all this stuff, meaning that a large percentage of the player base on even consoles and not PC, any consoles are the reviews do not reflect the experience that they're going to have. So seeing all these 9 out of 10s and saying it looks beautiful and runs flawlessly, that's not accurate to a large percentage of the people who are going to be purchasing this game. And I just think that's pretty unfortunate. I mean, I don't know how you balance that out. Like, of course you want the reviewers to be playing the best version of the game, but again, to management's point, like there's something there that was a keystone that was missing that really was not
That's why CD Projekt Red needs to send review copies to average schmucks like us. All right,
Yes,
we'll
exactly.
tell the truth. We'll tell the truth of the people.
Yeah.
Tanner gets the review copy on PlayStation, and I'll get the review copy on computer, and we will duel it out.
Yes.
And I think with that brings us to the end of our what the fuck? Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk.
I forgot the name of the
Name
game.
of the
CD
game.
Projekt Red Cyberpunk 2077,
Yes.
directed by Hideo Kojima, starring Dante from Devil May Cry.
Oh my God.
And Keanu Reeves.
That brings us to the end of our first impressions for Cyberpunk 2077. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I know this was a little bit all over the place, but hey, it matches the fucking game. Am I right?
Boom, got him.
But thank you for watching. Please join our Discord, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and we will see you guys.
Leave a comment
or-
if you dare.
Yeah, if you dare.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, I'm
fully
gonna have to wait.
expecting bad comments here.
We are going to have to wade through the swamp of this video's comment section.
I can't
Yeah.
wait for the like-dislike ratio.
Oh,
yes.
dude, I love getting ratioed. It's so much fun.
On that
Ratio us,
note-
please.
See you guys.
Team
Oh
Green.
shit! Oh
Jesus
my
Christ.
God, Greenmo,
Huh?
you are
You are
bright
green.
green.
I'm bright green?